Hello there, you beautiful dreamers. Now, I know what you're thinking. We've seen this before, surely. Well, we have indeed, but what I wanted to share with you today, dreamers, is some of the alternative little things that you can either make happen or see or do in Sunny's realm in OMORI. So, this is just some clips that I recorded of things that I wanted to experiment with, some of which have worthwhile results, some of which perhaps not so much, but there's going to be a little bit of things that are different. Now, I can't attest if any of these things have a long-term effect in the game. I can only really show you what's different here because obviously we have our save, the canonical save that we're playing through, not in a religious way, but this is just the things that you can certainly do slightly differently. Now, I will say that it seems for the most part that you are kind of on rails to a degree. There are some things that you can do differently, and I would imagine they do have some effect, but in terms of what we actually see, you kind of are on a similar sort of track no matter what you do. So one of the first things I wanted to try doing was to see if you could not have enough money in your pocket to spot Kel when he asks for money for Hero's Present, but you can't spend any money before that happens, so that seems to be a no-goer, at least not from what I can see. You can't even get in the shop. The other mart or whatever it's called. So, what about trying to not stab Aubrey? That sounds like a noble goal. Well, I tell you, the first thing you want to do is get some healing items, because that fight with Aubrey, yeah, she doesn't mess around. And like just about everybody in Faraway Town, she will focus on Kel constantly, which means that because you can't attack with Sunny, you need to keep Kel alive. So there's a bit of metagaming in here. So it means that Sunny's going to be healing up Kel, pretty much. That can't be too hard, right? Of course, it does mean the fight takes ages because you're only fighting with one of them. It's a lot similar to the kind of fights we were having the last few episodes, really. But it is doable. You just need to keep those bandages patching up little Kel, or big Kel, and just making sure you don't accidentally stab Aubrey. I did that a few times. And then she's toast. Sunny, he has a steak knife, so you can see that we're kind of getting railroaded into the same course of events. Indeed, even though we didn't stab Aubrey, apparently, she still managed to spot that we have a knife, somehow. Which means, unfortunately, things are going to proceed kind of as they were, which means that Kel is going to take our knife away. Thanks a lot, Kel. I worked so hard to keep that, and we're not even allowed to use it. We didn't even get to use it once. How unfair. So yeah, there's nothing else that really changes here. So another thing that I was curious to see what happens with is what happens if we lose the fights that we have to get into. The fights are actually quite challenging, especially with the way the game mechanics are set up, since you can end up taking a bit of a beating, and healing relies on you having money. There's no cheap food around here. It's pretty much the condition that you're in is the condition that you stay in. So if you have a streak of bad luck, then I guess you're going to end up in bloody tatters for most of the fights. So there must surely be some path through if you lose these fights then, surely. And the answer to that is, well, yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. There's one particular fight that you can't lose, which we might discuss a bit later on. This one is quite difficult to lose. I think you would have to be intentionally trying to lose this fight, because Charlie doesn't actually attack, or when Charlie does attack, it does like 1 damage. And as usual, they're going to focus on Kel. Of course they do. Of course they do. Everybody hates Kel. The arrogant little bastard. And you can, and for whatever reason as well, as we should see in a second, if we attack Charlie here, you can't actually hurt Charlie. So it's kind of like 2v1 really, because it's you and Kel versus Angel. And the way to lose the fight is essentially to just keep attacking Charlie. After what seems like quite a while, you will eventually start losing. It does take quite a while to get through this fight and to lose this fight. But as you can see, Sunny gets whacked, and Angel says, "My master has taught me well," and we have officially lost the fight. Ha! Kel, you major doofus. Me and Charlie as the victors are as predicted. But Kel's easy to brush that off as us going easy. We won fair and square. It's time to be serious now. This one possibly has the most little differences. Serious adult business. You don't want to get adults involved, do you? It possibly has the most, like, little differences, but as you can see, we're quite quickly railing onto the same track as we were before, even if we had won the fight, which is fine. I guess there's some comfort to that because it gives a little bit of certainty that we're not missing out on big things by conducting ourselves in a certain way. Although, I mean, I'm still quite proud that I've managed to do all these fights. Not this one in particular, because this one's quite easy. But some of the other ones are quite challenging because, as you'll see, if you lose the fights, you end up in a bit of a tricky spot. So we're now moving into the fight with Michael, or the Maverick, as he likes to be called. Now, because we're in the same sort of situation as we were in the last fight, and when we ended it, both of our party members only have 1 health, which means that we don't need to wait too long for this to all fall to bits. I don't think you've got enough money to heal much between the fights, so I think if you start losing, you're kind of destined to lose all of these fights, unless you want to spend all of your money on healing items, but I mean, we managed it somehow. So you can see here, this goes a lot faster because the Maverick can essentially just one-shot us. Although if he insists on smiling seductively, as he might very well do, it's going to extend all of this out a little bit longer. But Sunny is not in the position to put up much of a fight, so he gets slapped and he goes down. The Maverick says, "Wait, I won? As expected. Haha, fear me, for I am the Maverick." You were a formidable opponent, Kel. But yeah, much like the last fight, we are going to move back into the dialogue that happens, even if you win. So, yeah, not a lot changes. One thing I did notice, though, going through this, is that if you are in a fight where you can actually die, as in like get a game over, things are a little bit different. We'll perhaps move on to that a bit later on, but for the moment we've lost against the Maverick, but things are happening more or less as they were. We just get to talk to Michael or Maverick, Michael the Maverick, and he's generally useless because we won't call him the Maverick. How helpful. Kel doesn't want to play ball for that at all. So now on to the fight with the candy fans. Despite trying to tempt them with our big bag of candy, Vance and Kim are not going to take the bait, as we very well know. Now this one is a little different in that it does make a difference if you lose this fight. I can't remember if this specific thing happened if we won the fight, but nevertheless, we're going to get into the fight. We still have 1 health, so 2 health between Sunny and Kel. Which is not a great amount of health, so we're not in a great place for this fight at all. Both of these guys are going to try and whack us. Both of these people are going to try and whack us. So, yeah, ouch. Kill down. Sunny, of course, hits like a piece of paper in the wind, and gets quite rightly smacked. You guys never stood a chance. So can we get that taffy now? Yeah. You get an achievement for losing this fight. Interestingly. You don't get an achievement for losing any of the other fights, at least I don't recall seeing one, but you do get an achievement for losing this particular fight. But much like before, things are going to railroad back onto the track that we saw when we were doing our playthrough, i.e. we're going to get the clue from these two that Aubrey is hiding somewhere. At long last we get a clue about where Aubrey is hiding. Which is all good. But as you can see, it doesn't really change anything from the flow of events as we saw in the playthrough. You know how Mum gets when we're late? Smell you later, nerds. I think that's the name of the achievement that you get. Something to do with nerds anyway. I can't remember the exact wording, but yeah, as you can see, plays exactly the same past a certain point, even if you lose. So now moving on to the climactic Aubrey fight. Now you might be thinking, well, we already beat Aubrey. Maybe that is going to help us in some way from this fight. We beat her even without using the knife. We actually properly took her health all the way down, but as this is in one continuous playthrough, it's actually our health that's all the way down. So barging in, interrupting Aubrey in the church while she prepares to throw down. Yeah, hanging out with the psychopath that carries a knife. That said, and that's because Aubrey found out that we had the knife even though we didn't stab her. Because she's got knife sense. Yeah, we're already roughed up, so as I imagine a lot of people who are playing through this may end up. I don't know how much it says about my gamer skills, but you know, we managed to get here quite healthy. But I could see yourself, once you kind of get into that bad state, certainly by this point, you're going to be low on cash, low on health, ready to take a beating. But serves you right, Kel. Humph, says Aubrey, and then, now leave me alone. But other than the in-fight dialogue that you got there, it doesn't really seem like anything changes. You still move into the same sort of sequence of events in the church, causing Aubrey to storm out. Good work, Cal. Good work, Sunny. Shoot. Yeah, maybe this was a bad idea. Yeah, maybe. So now there's a bit where we actually got a decision, i.e. a decision that didn't involve us getting our ass kicked, which is when we are getting Basil's photo album out of the bin. Because we actually get presented a choice here. It's not just trying to manipulate the way the game events are. We literally get given a choice. So after we see Aubrey depositing the MacGuffin into the bin, we can wait for her to run off. And then if we have a look around, I wanted to try some other little things here just to see what would happen, like if you try and leave the scene or if you try and knock on Aubrey's door, but it doesn't do anything. But if we go down to the bin, and Kel retrieves the MacGuffin. Well, I don't believe it. It's Basil's photo album. Yeah, it is indeed, Kel. Well done. Mission accomplished. So we get asked if we want to high five Kel, and we can indeed say no to this if we are a heartless dick. Kel looks rather dejected, but it doesn't seem like it changes much. Don't know if that changes something down the line, but you do get an achievement for having not high-fived Kel. So now we're in Basil's house. We've successfully delivered Basil's photo album back to him, and we're going to have some dinner, which Kel is obviously very excited about. So there's a few little things that we didn't really do here. We can talk to these two, and they talk a little bit about what they're making. You really think so? I was afraid you'd be a bit disappointed. People always tell me that it tastes a bit bland. Don't worry about what other people think. Kel will eat anything. Dinner will be ready soon. Now, we can of course talk to Basil some. Oh, hi, Sunny. It's nice to finally see you again. Haha. Why are you staring at me like that? Sunny? Is everything okay? Yeah, a little bit awkward, but that's okay. Sorry, Basil. That's why we're here, after all, to make you feel uncomfortable. Skipping ahead now to when we're having a dinner. And and Kel spots the fact that Sunny has now got possession of Basil's photo album. And Kel, barely able to take his attention away from the dinner for a moment to tell Basil that Sunny's moving away, which Basil doesn't seem to react to particularly well. He must have missed it. Yeah, you did miss it, Basil. You're going to miss Sunny. You're going to miss Sunny a lot, I bet. So Basil's going to make a runner. Now, when we did this in the playthrough, I kind of... Well, I didn't freak out a bit, but I was like... I wasn't really sure if I did the right thing here, but I went into the bathroom and then immediately left. Of course, you don't have to do that. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Yeah, probably. Oh, it's you, Sunny, you're here. I'm so glad. So, when Basil talks about something behind you, I took that quite literally to mean, well, what's behind us? We can talk to Basil, though. He says, Sunny, why do you look so scared? Everything is okay now, isn't it? He only really has these two lines. Of course, the done thing is to, well, approach Basil from behind and then look in the mirror. So there's not a lot really else in here that's different. Again, I don't know if interacting with these things somehow changes events further down the line. I get the feeling it probably doesn't. But as you can see, Basil still pleads for us to go, for us not to go because we're leaving. Bye, Basil. Have fun. So there's some comfort in that, I guess. We haven't potentially traumatized Basil forever. So now we're into the spooky scene where Sunny is confronting his fears, and we have successfully focused and realised that the big scary monster is actually a tiny wee spider. Now, you don't have to squash the spider. With a bit of careful manoeuvring, you can, of course, just run straight to your bed. Get to sleep, Sunny. You need some rest. You've had a big day. So one of the things that I wanted to try here was if you stab immediately after entering the white space, because that's an option, and I was curious about what that would do. Which indeed you can do. Very extreme way to enter the dream world, or whatever world this is. Stab immediately. Ouch. So, what this does is it causes Sunny to wake up. Okay, no great surprises there. But what's going to happen? Well, you get a little odd sequence where you are awake in the house with seemingly no onward objectives. The spider's still alive. We'll need to be careful about that. There was a scary monster there. There's a scary monster there as well. But other than that, there's not really a lot to do. You can't leave. There's no plot. There's nothing going on. There's just a bit of scary ambience. Let's see if there's any food. You haven't eaten all day, Sunny. No food. Just scary. Empty. So that's all that's really going on in here. So it just seems to be a little bit of creepy. I think kind of similar to when we were here in the night before. I don't know if things will perhaps change, so this might be something to try again in the future, just to see what happens. Take that spider. Maybe there's an achievement for keeping the spider alive. I know what to do though. I know what you like doing, Sunny. Yeah, that. Yeah, not much going on. Just a bit scary. A bit unsettling. But yeah, nothing to do. Nothing to do but to go back to bed. You don't get any sequence of, like, I don't know, the sort of the vignette sequences where you've got like the little animations, other than this one, of course, because we've already seen it. Instead, you just go straight past all of that and straight back into the white space. So I'm quite curious about, I mean, is that important? Maybe there'll be something to do mid game sections in the future, but certainly doesn't seem like there is at that point. Or maybe I missed something, I don't know. Viewers, and if you want to leave some notes in the comments, not too spoiler ideally, go for it. But as you can see, despite all of today's activities, everything going rather badly, OMORI, Sunny and Kel getting their asses kicked. Everything's fine in here. These guys were worried about us, quite rightly so. We've had a tough day, to be honest. We got 7 colours of shit kicked out of us. Kel should know. Kel was there. So now probably on to the most interesting thing that you can do differently, which is probably the most obvious one, which is, of course, we've got Kel battering the door, asking us to come out and play. Now this, of course, is all a bit reminiscent of the first time we entered Sunny's world, where we had Mary at the door. And of course we get the option to not open the door. So the same options apply here. You have the option of opening the door or not opening the door. So it's a little bit different here. So if we say we don't want to open the door, we instead twist back around, and Kel continues to bang the door. So you can go to the door again, and you'll get exactly the same options again. So it would seem like the game is trying to suggest to you that you should probably open the door. So I would guess this is the primary way to go through the game. But that's not to say that you can't perhaps be a bit clever about this. So Kel will continue to bang the door. This will just go on for a while. I mean, I wouldn't have the patience for this, but Sunny, you know what Sunny's like. When confronted with a big problem, Sunny will do what he always does and go to bed. Yep, go to sleep. And indeed we do go to sleep. We took a short nap, and apparently we should get started on our chores. So we can look at our to-do list now, and we actually get the option to do our to-do list stuff. And we get a broom. Now this starts I was going to say that almost as tedious as what we went through in the actual playthrough, but I don't think that's fair. I think that's just my distorted lens on it, recording this for a Let's Play. But you have to go around the house and tidy up all of these big piles of dust. This is your punishment, I guess, for not going out to play with Kel. And boy, there are quite a few of these piles of dust, let me tell you. So there's some in every room in the house that you can access, and you have to find them all. Thankfully they're not too difficult to spot, but yeah, there's even dust in the bathroom. However that works. Of course we've got to have a look in the mirror. Is there scary? No scary. Maybe it's all Kel's fault. Maybe that's the big takeaway from this. It is ultimately all Kel's fault. So yeah, you go around. I don't know if this is perhaps something that you can do, presumably because we're on 3 days left. Maybe each time somebody's banging at the door, you can do this, should you choose to. But I'll say now that I can't confirm what long-term effect this has on things, in terms of, like, you know, do these decisions have consequences in the game? We can only wait and see, I suppose. But, I mean, bloody hell. Given that it's only Sunny running around in this house, look at how much dust there is. Must be all these monsters that are creeping in the night. I suppose there's not much for Sunny to do to amuse himself other than play blackjack and eat poisoned steak. Yeah, not allowed to leave. That's it, Sunny. This is your purgatory, because you didn't go to play with Kel. It's quite an aggressive sound, that, as well. I know it's meant to be sweeping. It sounds a little bit like somebody rubbing some sandpaper on their armpit. Which doesn't sound all that pleasant. Probably about as pleasant as sweeping the floor, really. So we're about done. This is the last one. So sweep it up. Sweep it up, Sunny. Well done. You actually did your chores. What a good lad. You feel a little dizzy. Some ominous eyes. Thud. So, and you might recognise the ambience that's creeping in here. And we're back in the house with all the spiders. So it's kind of like a shortcut to this part. As I said, I don't know what this changes, but one thing that is interesting, of course, is there's no knife. Now, that makes sense because we didn't go out to play with Kel. We have not had our knife confiscated during our interaction with Aubrey. So we still have the steak knife. So that's a change. We still have the steak knife, which means we don't need the other knife, which means we can slice this down. No trouble. What bearing does that have on things? Don't know. But from this point on, all the way up to the, the spider fight and sleeping and stuff, everything seems the same. But if I had to wager something that would have a long-term effect, like what would happen perhaps the next time we wake up, I'd say this is probably the one to check, because it is probably the most different. It's also a good speedrunning strat, I guess. And now on to the final bit of my morbid curiosity. The fight with Aubrey. So, if you're like me, and again, you have morbid curiosity in these things, you might be wondering what happens if you don't do so well in this fight. Of course, we still have the knife in our pocket. We could, in theory, end the fight very, very quickly. But where's the fun in that, you might be thinking? Well, all of the other fights, if we lost, there was no bearing on things beyond some slightly different dialogue. So surely that must apply here, right? I'll take on both of you. Yeah, we'll do it. Watch this. So guarding's probably not the right idea because you save yourself from a lot of damage. So instead we'll get Sunny to guard and we'll get Kel to encourage. And that leaves him defenseless. Of course, Kel, the punching bag as ever, is going to get smacked around. So let's just keep doing this. Aubrey takes a brief breather to make this just go on a bit longer. It seems you can only boost Sunny's attack once, but oh wow, Kel, you got smacked. I think Kel's in worrying territory here. Ah, that's fine. We can blast through this quickly. It's fine, I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Oh well, Kel could go down. Rip. Of course, Sunny is not the most hardy of characters, so he's already nearly at half health after just one blow. Unfortunately, the only thing we can do really is guard. Uh-oh. Now you'll notice there's like the black surrounding on the screen, and there's a heartbeat. And that is because losing this fight is a game over. So that's it, Dreamers. That's everything that I wanted to show. Hopefully this has been an interesting little video. It's interesting that these things have some different permutations. Maybe we'll talk about what all of this means a little bit more fully in the future. But, you know, I wanted to check these things out, and hopefully you had some curiosity in these things as well. So, with any luck, we'll be proceeding back through the rest of the Let's Play of OMORI in the near future. So you've got that to look forward to. Take that, Aubrey. Stabbed. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Hopefully I'll see you on the next one.